Hello mates, and welcome to a new edition of the Zonă Report. After a well-deserved break where we played World of Tanks day and night until our eyes started to bleed, we decided to come back with renewed strength in a new report full of interesting news and some small updates about the channel, as usual. You see, this week we have some cool stuff to show you, but also some bad news unfortunately. A little bit of everything you could say, which can only make us happy in the end. So let's not waste any more time and get this new edition of the Zonă Report rolling out. First up, we have some good news for you, our dear subscribers and followers. A new series will be coming to our little YouTube channel very soon, which means that in parallel with other games already featured on the channel, we'll have a new edition that will be running in episodic formats. To be more specific, we are referring to another game produced and released under the Frictional Games label, which comes somewhat shortly after the Soma series on our channel that just ended recently. The new series will be based on Nvidia Raport, a game released in October 2020 that received generally favorable reviews. The game is set in March 1937 and follows the story of Tacit Rhiannon, a French drafter on an expedition in colonial Africa. Now the thing is, this expedition ends abruptly with a plane crashing in a not-so-friendly desert area, and there will be many dark caves, underground tunnels and cool locations to explore. But I think I'll leave the rest of the details for you to discover when we launch the series on our channel. What I can tell you, however, is that the game is the third installment in the franchise and serves as a sequel to The Dark Descent, another highly rated game in the series. As we are already well used to when we're talking about a game in the Nvidia universe, you can be sure that things are going to get a little crazy and dark. But that's about it for now on this topic. We don't want to give away too much after all. Stay tuned since we'll be releasing the first episode on the channel very soon, and I promise it's going to be a blast. Moving on, we now have some less good news from the hardware industry, because you see, Nvidia continues to tarnish its image by releasing half-baked, overpriced products that they probably expect people to buy like hotcakes. And the worst part of all of this is that people actually buy them, unfortunately. Nothing we can do about that, I suppose. But what I can do is tell you about the recently released RTX 4060, the 4060 Ti's all-around amputated little brother. This little brother is aggressively promoted as a 1080p graphics card and has a starting price of $300. But as usual, you can be sure that the price on the shelf will be a bit higher, as expected I suppose. It's an Nvidia GPU after all, and the market right now it's a bit of a mess, especially for Nvidia fanboys. This formidable RTX 4060 is so special that it's brutally beaten in absolutely every chapter by the Radeon RX 6700 XT, a GPU released in 2021 for God's sake. Honestly, nowadays you can easily find the RX 6700 XT around $300 or even less, not to mention that it comes equipped with more VRAM, which helps a ton in recent games, even at 1080p, not to mention higher resolutions of course. What choice will the wise buyer make, I wonder? Well, if you're just a tad smart and not an Nvidia fanboy, you'll skip this failed GPU attempt by a long shot. There are plenty of other options out there, and the 6700 XT is probably the best at the moment. To wrap up this news, Nvidia seems to be getting more and more of a bad reputation lately, especially among gamers. I wonder why. Remember that Computex 2033 presentation Nvidia made? I suppose that could be part of the problem here, but we don't want to dig up that topic anymore, so let it rest in pieces. Like this new RTX 4060. Honestly, go buy a 6700 XT if you're in the market looking for a GPU. This is my recommendation for you at the moment. In other news, AMD announced that will be Starfield's exclusive PC partner and claims that the game will be able to use multi-core CPUs. Well, that's what we hoped and expected from this game after all. At least that much, to have support for processors with more than one core. What else could you do with today's CPUs that have dozens of cores if not at least enjoy the performance they provide in your favorite games? If we're not asking too much, of course. this is a brilliant idea to have support for multi-core CPUs. Sorry about that, but I kinda find it funny. Anyway, all jokes aside, Starfield is an upcoming action role-playing game developed by Bethesda and is due to be released this year in September, if all goes according to plan, of course. The game takes place in a space-themed setting and will be the first new intellectual property developed by Bethesda in over 25 years, if you can believe it. Starfield features an open world in the form of an area within the Milky Way galaxy, containing both fictional and non-fictional planetary systems, with players being able to land on more than 1,000 planets and an unspecified number of moons and space stations. The game has been in the works since 2018 and has suffered 2 delays so far, but it looks promising and hopefully the release and the game itself will go off without too many incidents. It is a little early to say whether or not it will be a success, but time will tell, I suppose. And at least they didn't throw it under the bus undercooked. Our last piece of news in this Zone report comes from Wargaming and is of course dedicated to World of Tanks, because we couldn't have an edition of the report without something related to Wargaming, I suppose. You see, we have good news and bad news, a little bit of each. The good news is that Wargaming has expanded the range of 2D and 3D styles that can be purchased directly from the game. Available 3D styles are dedicated for tanks like Type 5 Heavy, Object 703 version 2, STRV 103B and a few more. But we also have a pretty good selection of 2D styles that are applicable to any tank, as I think you already know. And that's about it for the good news. It's nice that we can buy them, don't get me wrong on that, but the prices in gold are pretty steep, as usual I suppose. After all, it's a business. They have to empty our accounts of gold somehow, don't they? So the prices for 3D styles start at 5,000 gold and go down from there. And the most expensive 2D styles start at 750, which we personally find it pretty expensive, to be honest. With 5,000 gold, you can actually buy an entire premium tank and walk out happier than with a simple 3D style that does nothing but beautify your tank. But that's our opinion. You are free to throw your piles of gold at whatever your heart's desire. That said, those were the hot topics for this Zone report, and we're running out of time for this video. Plus, I got a little hungry from all the talking here, you know. So I'm going to spend my gold on some nice crispy wings from KFC. I personally think that's a better investment. And with that, see you at the next report, and until then, take care of yourselves, your wallets, and stay strong. This is my recommendation for you as usual. Signing out.